Hey guys, I've had a lot of inquiries about how I built my rain gutter grow system, the modified version. So what I'm going to do today is do a quick demo video of how I've actually constructed the box using one single pallet. For this you'll need some sort of pry bar to get the timber off the top. Obviously your safety equipment for when you're using your circular saw to cut the pallet, a drill, some screws. I've got 1.5 inch screws here, a tape measure, a few drill bits, and a hammer, and also a texter for marking. So the first part of the component is you want to measure. I use three cross sections, so I measure from here to here, which it works out to be 45 centimeters exactly, and same on this side. So you want to check that regardless, because not all pallets are even. So I measure that first, draw my line, and then I'll pry out this center bar. And then if you look on the back of the actual pallet, there's 3 more here. You want to keep this one for support, so I'm going to move one of them to the end here for support because this one doesn't have it, and then remove the other 2. They'll come into use later on. So the idea is that you want to get underneath that middle one, slowly and easily pry it up, and once it's pried up and off, then we'll move on to the next step. So I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, so now I've pulled out the center part, I've pulled out the 3 on the bottom, and I've put 1 more on the bottom on that side. You'll see it once I cut the pallet up now. Now I can't stress enough about pallet safety. There is a lot of dangerous things that can happen with these pallets when you're removing them. One is these nails on the end here. Unless you push them down or push them out and reuse them, make sure that you turn them over when you're working around the area so the nails are down, because stepping on one of them means you've got to get a tetanus straight away. Alright, so the next part is we want it to look like this, cut in half without this top flashing yet. We'll get to that after. So we want it cut in half, so we've got 3 runs on each side, and that's effectively going to become the sides of the bed. So what you've got to do, measure up from one side to the other, like I said, which is 45 centimeters on each side, which means that it's going to be pretty much level once you build it. Once you put it together, they're going to sit flush on the ground. So you'll measure up, which I've measured here is exactly 45 centimeters. Draw your line and get your circular saw, and you want to cut exactly right next to that top runner, but all the way through, flip it over, cut through the other side. Don't try and go through the whole thing in one hit. Make sure you turn it over and cut down the other side. So I'll get to that stage and then we'll move on from there. Cheers. Alright, so now I've made the cut. As you can see, we're in 2 halves here. Another thing I've got to stress on, wear your gloves, because you will get splinters. Pallets are notorious for giving splinters, so wear gloves and hearing protective stuff when wearing the circular saw, because the last thing you want to do is be deaf because of gardening. Now we've got these, you can see it's almost like this, just doesn't have a top finish on it. This is where the pieces that you pulled off come in handy. So that's what we're going to do, is put the top cross pieces on the top, and they're going to become the supports where you can see the buckets are sitting on them ones. So what we're going to do is push the nails back through the timber using a hammer, and then place it on top, and you'll find that the nails actually line up perfectly with the pallet, so there's no need to put new holes in it, no nothing, it all lines up. So I'll go ahead and knock the 2 heads on top of these, and I'll get back to you. Cheers. Okay, so now I've got the tops on, they're ready to go. So now what we've got to do is measure up to install a PVC pipe. So this is just your normal poly pipe. Well, it's all more like stormwater sort of pipe, plumbing pipe. It's 90 millimeters in diameter across there. I think it costs like $4 for a metre length. Now I'll get to the holes in that later on. But first, so you need a 90 millimeter, 2 adaptation caps on the ends, and they've got thread on the outside of it, so you can screw on your service plate. So if you need to take it off to flush it out, you can, or you can join more systems to the one float. Now as I'm speaking about the float, this is the float here. And what it does is when the water's in the pipe, it stays up and closes off the seal. So you plug up your garden hose attachment on the end of this via another attachment that you'll find in your irrigation or hardware store, or in America I guess it'd be Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. So you'll connect that to that, so it's like that, onto there. And what happens, you connect your garden hose up to that, have another bucket on top with a garden hose fitting coming out of it, and that's your water. So this will go into it, the float will be up, when the plant sucks up the water via the hole in the bottom of the bucket, which will have a cup and soil and everything in to wick it up through the soil. This will slowly drop down, so the float will slowly start to drop down, water will start to fill it up again, and then it will lift it back up and start it. So this is effectively a self-watering system. We all know Larry Hall's rain gutter systems, it's all the same, but this is what I'm using, so you all know what I'm doing here with this part. The main idea of this video, but, is to focus on how I built the one pallet garden bed. So now we've got all this done, we need to work out our height, which is going to be just level with the top of the pallets. So then we'll get our spare piece of timber here that we pulled off, cut that into 3 even sections, and screw it underneath this PVC pipe to hold it in place. So we'll put it there, in the middle, and at the end, and that will hold it all together. Stop this from moving around, and it should be all good to go. Alright, so I'll finish that, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so now that I've cut them across, cut my little section, sorry, I've put my 2 screws in each side, and I've done it 3 times. So I've got 2 more over there for the middle and for the other end. So now, it's a 90mm pipe, so logic prevails here. You need to have a 90mm gap in the middle, and you need to have it 90mm down from the top of where the buckets are going to sit. So that way the pipe will sit flush with the top, so it's an easy follow through with the bucket and the cup to go into wick it up. So what I'm going to do now, I've measured down 90, I've drawn my line on each side from 90mm, and I'm going to measure them up so they're even, and then knock that screw straight in there, and that will be the spot for that side. So I'll go ahead and I'll do all 3, which you've got to do in the centre as well. You've got to do this centre post on the inside. I'll do all 3, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end of that. Alright guys, so that's all done. Cross sections are put in, sturdy as, it's rigid, not going anywhere, it's level, it's sitting roughly about a mil lower than the top of that. I'm not going to do imperial because I'm Australian, we do metric, so sorry about that guys in America and Canada and everywhere else. Now for the pipe and the float and everything like that, get on the Larry Hall's channel, have a look at his rain gutter grow system, because you'll know he'll show you step by step how to do that. I'm not here for that, that's his system, that's his claim to fame, not mine. I'm just here to show you my pallet. I've got my 5 seconds of glory because everyone wants to know how I built it. So as you can see, it costs roughly about $10 to build. Pallet's free. You can even salvage the nails out of the panels you pull out, use on top, which I have here, but you can also do it for the bottom sides as well, so you don't have to buy screws. You do need a saw of some description, whether it's a hand saw or it's a power saw. Safety gear always, just remember that. Measure twice, cut once, don't stuff it up, you only get 1 pallet. But as for the buckets and everything like that, it's the same wicking systems that you see in all Larry Hall's designs, where you have your net pot or your cup or anything of description like that, put it into a stocking, a legging or a pantyhose or whatever you want to call it, fill it with soil, put it in the bucket, fill it with soil so it comes up and then it wicks up through the holes that are on top of here. Plug your pipe in, you have enough room to put your water reservoir up the end here, as well as having 2 grow buckets there and there. Now on this one I put cross members in it as a section because it was a bit uneven and it was a bit wobbly on top, so I'll put them in to hold the buckets. Not completely necessary. If you're not in a high wind area, don't stress about it, but if you are, it's easy as grabbing some of your spare bits of lumber off other pallets, even the parts that you've cut out of the middle when you cut the pallet in half, and all you got to do is measure up the bucket, put the bucket in between them, make them tight, screw them into there, and that's exactly what I've done on that one. Now this is ready to paint, do what you want, leave it as it is, age in the days. Yeah, so that's it. So that's how I knocked my pallet together. So I hope it's really helpful for you. So if you have any questions, please just comment below on the video, and I'll try to answer them for you. But yeah, so there'll be plenty more pallet constructions coming with the garden. Yeah, that's how I do it. So yeah, cheers guys for watching, and I hope it helps.